Welcome back. It's been a 10-month hiatus, but here we are. This is episode 36, or is
No,
it
it's not.
35?
It's
35 of the Snow Farms podcast. So where the hell have we been for the last 10 months? We're going to cover all that and more on today's exciting episode of the Snow Farm podcast. So, Andrew, what have you been doing for the last 10 months?
Well, I've been doing a lot of homeschooling with Samuel, and I also homeschool our two awesome neighbor kids. The oldest girl is a 7th grader, and the youngest is a 6th grade boy. And Sam just kind of does what Sam wants.
He's a febrile child, and I love that about him. I love that you've done that for him.
I am also learning how to be a nutritionist, health coach, and an herbalist through
Is that like the herb? Like the sticky icky icky, the devil's lettuce, Satan's cabbage?
No.
No? What does that entail, being an herbalist?
Using medicinal herbs to help clients live a better life.
Can you explain to everyone how they're going to have an entire cabinet dedicated to tinctures and herbs?
Well, you just will.
Yeah. Would you like to explain how you tried to kill me with fire cider?
You're just a wimp.
I am married to the female David Goggins. She's over here yelling at me, "Stay hard!" while I'm trying to gag this stuff down. She's like, she puts honey in it, and then I'm like,
I don't put honey in it.
For me, she put honey in it. I'm like gagging, trying to get it down. And then she makes hard eye contact and just starts drinking it straight out of the bottle. Like, most dominant thing I've ever seen her do. It's wild. Let's see. So what else we got here? So you're herbalist, nutritionist. You're helping folks get healthy. You want to talk about why you're qualified to do it and what you've done with your own life?
So I am enrolled in the something pathway.
We're doing it live. There's no editing here. We're not taking
it's the wellness pathway at Hill College in Cleburne, Texas, and I have taken Nutrition 1, and I did my clinicals last semester. I am about to take Nutrition 2 and another round of clinicals starting on January 16th. And I have, over the past year, lost 50 pounds doing a couple of 75 hards that I didn't exactly finish, but it got
great
me
results
to where I wanted to be. There's a few pounds that I have left to lose, but I feel really good and I have a lot more energy to run around after Sam since I am a geriatric.
It's true. We stopped buying green bananas years ago. It's presumptuous at our age that we're going to be around for them to ripen. So let's see. So where have I been the last 10 months? So I took on a new role in the military. I fully expected to be retired right now. That was sort of the plan I'd made, and then had some changes happen at work, some of them tragic, and ended up becoming a superintendent of a section. And I've got new leadership, and it's been really, really good in a lot of ways. I've grown a lot, and then I had to come to a decision, probably 4 months ago, somewhere in there, where I had to figure out, well, am I really going to jump into this with both feet and commit, or am I going to just go halfway? And I've really committed. I think I'm finally, I just got one of my best workers back, and I've got him for at least a year. So I'm starting to throttle back from this 14, 15-hour days I've done for I don't know how many years. now. But so I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And Andrea and I sat down last weekend before I went back to work because I had a really nice holiday home with the kids and Andrea for 11 days. That was lovely. But we sat down and talked about what we want to do for the farm this year. And one of my things is I've really disengaged. That wasn't gas. That's our giant dog who has sleep apnea. Don't be alarmed. If you set off your car alarms, I'm sorry. But we sat down and talked about what she needs, what I need in the marriage. We talked about goals for the farm for this year. And one of the things for me was re-engaging on the day-to-day stuff on the weekends when I'm here and getting back in that. So there's that. And then what else am I in here? Let's talk about your goats.
I've also
this
been
goat fiasco.
It's not a goat fiasco.
My trees beg to differ.
So I recently sold off the majority of my herd.
How many goats did you sell off? Do you even know there were so many? They breed like rabbits, even though they're goats.
Well, I sold off Pearl and her 2 daughters and their
One of them had twins. One had
4 kids.
Okay, so 7 goats.
Yes.
That is an entire herd. No one needs 7 goats ever. Okay. What'd you learn from the goats?
That we need better fences.
It really does come back to infrastructure, right? On the farm, with any new animal that you take on, and I think it's the greenhouse, anything you do, the infrastructure portion of it is so important. And on the animal side, it's shelter, right? Can you keep them out of the weather? Can you keep them alive when it's cold, when it's hot? And then fencing. And we should have listened to that episode about fencing before we had, because the baby goats
can sneak out in the littlest, smallest spaces.
And I tried, so for anyone thinking about getting goats, they're lovely creatures. Nubians are my favorite because they just want to be your friend. And they want to come to where you're at. And if they see you, they're like, hey, come here. But it sounds like a child is being murdered when they say hello in the dark. It is haunting. But the baby goats, once they figure out they get out, they're gone. They are Houdini. And I have all these fruit trees that I plant. I'm very proud of these fruit trees, right?
Yes.
I baby them. I put little compost in there. I talk to them. I prune them. I love them. And the baby goat's like, look, snacks. And they will climb up in your trees as high as they can. And they figure out how high they can because at that height, the tree starts breaking. And baby goats don't care. They're like the honey badgers of the trees. So the trees just break. And I come behind and all these tears. And Andrew's like, I guess you should have built me better fences. Maybe you should solve that problem. So we learned a lot of lessons with goats. Now, the goat milk soap. Talk about that because that's a new addition to the farm, what we're doing and selling that.
So I took a class from what are those people in Waco?
The Amish? Oh, no, they're the Anabaptists at Elmont in the village.
Yes. And anyways, I took a goat milk soap class, and that was the whole purpose of acquiring the goats in the first place, was to finally be able to make soap. So I have been relatively successful.
Yeah, there's
so
been
far.
some awesome products. It smells nice. It's great.
I sold 10 bars to our neighbor, and I've been giving away lotions and soaps for other people to try so that I can get feedback.
And I'm old, so I'm starting to get that leathery skin of the ancients. But I get dry skin every winter. It doesn't matter where I'm at. It doesn't matter if it's in Corvallis where it's super moist or in Idaho or here. But Andrea's lotion that she made is fantastic. I will say that. So I took some to work, and it works on my head, works on my face. There's no residue. It's just awesome. So if you're interested, Send
Hit
her,
us up.
yeah, send her a message. We need to buy some new fruit trees for the ones that got murdered by those. But yeah, and the soap is awesome too. And the thing about that is, how many ingredients do you have in the soap?
It's just goat milk, water, tallow from our beef cows, lye, obviously, another fat, and then fragrance oil.
Yeah, that's it. So instead of reading 86 things that you can't pronounce in the back of soap, it's straightforward. It's pretty awesome. We had our first honey harvest. That was awesome. And I'm super conservative with the bees. We've joined a beekeeping club. We have gang signs and everything. It's like
We don't have gang signs.
Andrea is the
Secretary.
Bunch of great people. The thing about beekeeping and beekeepers, they want everyone to be able to do it. It is super, super rewarding. I think part of the reason the honey tastes so good to beekeepers is those stings and all the fear of when you get 100,000 things trying to murder you.
It's not fair. You just don't know what you're doing.
That's fair too. Just in there like poking the bees, like, hey, what do we do? Lots of learning going on, but we managed to keep a bunch alive. One of the things we're working on this winter, at least for me, is I'm trying to figure out how to split hives, because we have the infrastructure for 25 hives. All the boxes to have two supers on top of two medium boxes. Or no, two medium boxes on top of two supers. So that's one of the things we're trying to get squared away this winter and ramp up in the spring, or at least for me.
And we want to learn how to be beekeepers,
Not just
instead
bee-havers.
of bee-havers.
So, sold the goats. Oh, funny story. So, if you're our age, you may remember the original Dukes of Hazzard. And then the car would just jump something. So our middle daughter on prom night, she was super stressed out, and it was, in hindsight, it was super cute. But she decided to go Dukes of Hazzard with her car, and she jumped a ravine. A testament to two things on this. She is back driving this car. Testament to her grandfather, who is the manliest man on the entire planet. He straightened that car body out with a couple pieces of wood and a bottle jack. Everything runs. A testament to the Toyota is the other part of this. Everything's still fully functional on the car. And Little Rose driving it again. No harm, no foul. Airbags didn't deploy. But she jumped a ravine of, like, it was 3 feet deep, maybe 4.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And somehow ended up on the other side. And Toyota Camry for your kid's first car. Can't go wrong. So that was some excitement this summer. We've expanded the water catchment since last time. Mm-hmm. So I still haven't expanded. I've expanded the capacity of holding water. One of the things, and I did add a gutter to the shop. So I've got the other side of the shop. I've got to sand down the eave wood, put up the gutter, and start catching that. And I've got to plumb those together on the north end of my shop. And then I have gutter to run on the east side of our house. There's about 60 feet of that. We're at, what did I say, 15,000 gallons, give or take, of capacity now. And at this point, we're not even halfway through the winter, and we're almost full. We have more rain forecast in the next week. So
but it's also going to be winter in Oklahoma
for a week, and it will. We might see it touch single digits for a few hours. So we're getting prepped for that, trying to get all this water. The nice thing about the IBC totes, for sure, is it stays cold here because it's going to get above freezing during the day. They won't do anything there, but the plumbing that I have is all just held together by gravity and friction. So I've got to empty out those pipes and get ready for the freeze. But my goal is to get to 20,000 gallons of water capacity. That, with what we found out from the greenhouse growing, this is our first year doing that. 20,000 gallons, I believe, is plenty. If we start with that carrying capacity going into when we start irrigating, hopefully we'll get a rain shower in there somewhere to refresh some of that. But I think even a complete, definitely for 2 months, and I think we've probably stretched it to 3 fairly easily. That's not bad. So, and that includes watering all the animals. So it's really minimizing the well usage, everything there. So that's been, I'm really excited about that. We grew in the greenhouse the first time. Back to that. We did not maximize that space this year at all. And we bought our own tiller. So we had our buddy Kyle come over. Hey, Kyle. And till it with his tractor. He's got a small utility tractor that he tilled. So we bought our own handheld tiller. And there's all this stuff about no-till. And it's great if you can do that. God bless you if you've got time and patience. One of the things about homesteading...
Russ doesn't have either time or patience.
Yeah. One of the things about homesteading is everybody's a purist, right? Whatever works for you and whatever you have time for to make it work, make that work. Don't feel guilty about not being perfect. I would love to have 12 inches of wood chips on top of it and reach down there and we're not there yet. So we are making do. So we grew too many tomatoes last year. That's the thing that I've realized in hindsight is most of those tomatoes did not get eaten. So I need to throttle back on the tomatoes. Did you eat all the tomatoes?
No, because they just hung up there.
Yeah. So we got to throttle back. Cucumbers did really well. We didn't, and that was really, we had peppers, a few peppers, cucumbers, and tomatoes in the greenhouse. I think the squash, we'll start a couple of those in the greenhouse this year. And I really want to work on getting those started early and getting them productive. And I've seen some folks trim them up. So they're basically pruning them and growing them up a stake as a way to control the
squash vine borer.
Yeah, the vine borer problem. So we're going to start them early, get that in there. We've had the chickens out there, so we have some super, super fertile soil in one back corner. I'm going to till that up first thing and start back there. But we grew a ton of potatoes. Andrea, did we harvest a single potato?
No.
We had a bumper, and I was out there with the hoe, covering them in dirt, and added like a foot of dirt over them. We're gonna have they'll grow in the spring, but that's one of the things I wish we would have harvested potatoes, but we just. So, anyways, back to that. I planted too densely on the squash, and once we had a couple of rains. And the weeds and grass and the squash, all the plants did really, really well up until end of June.
Yeah.
And so.
And then it was 120 for.
Yeah. And everything just dies.
Like 2 weeks.
And that's the reality about growing in the South. So we added some shade cloth to the greenhouse on the south side, and that helped a ton inside the greenhouse. It really was noticeable going in there. So. We're going to do that again. And I basically just want to grow smaller scale inside the greenhouse and then look at, and I've got to automate the watering for Andrea for when I'm not here, where she can go out there, push a button, and everything just gets watered. So that's on my list too. And I think I found a little pressure pump. A buddy bought one, and we're going to go with that and see if that helps solve the problem. It basically is just it has a pressure tank on it, just like your well does. So it's going to run for a few minutes, fill that up. It's going to empty out that tank, start over, so that basically you can run that for a lot longer without it overheating the pump. What else we have? What do you want to talk about in the garden? What did you learn?
I learned that even if you let your garden get overgrown, when your friend comes to re-till it back under, the squash plants will come back up in the fall and be way more successful than they were in the spring.
Our volunteers were amazing, and we had a ton of production out of the volunteer squash. And we had zucchini. And did we have yellow squash that came back?
We had yellow squash that came back.
So, and all that was allegedly hybrid seed. Mm-hmm. And it came back, and they were just It was really great. So super happy. We should have saved seed from what came back.
But we didn't because
There's another lesson learned.
They got frozen.
We did Dutch bucket aquaponics for the first time at scale. They did really well. The master blend fertilizer, I was only using that. I was mixing every second or third time we filled up the 50-gallon tank. In next year, I want to go to a bigger tank because the 50 gallons, you were still filling that in the heat of the summer every week. And I think if we had a 150-gallon tank sitting at the end of that, it would just make it much nicer to have to fill that less and not have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the lessons learned there. Go in the bigger tank if you're in a place that's hot as blazes, like Oklahoma. Different dog. Small. That's the coyote dog making those noises. She talks. She's half coyote, half... what's Chewbacca? What's that race of creatures?
I don't know.
Not a Star Wars nerd. Boys, listen up. I cut down 2 trees out of our field. So one of the things that I'm slowly working towards is...
what kind of trees are these that you cut down?
I cut down oaks. I was going to... Thank you. I am thinning our oaks so that our native pecans can grow and get bigger, and just going to pecan plantation in the pasture. So we're looking at silviculture. So I'm trying to open up where we're getting more sun on the grass, so that we can have pasture under the grass. But we have some areas where it's just too dense.
Pasture under the trees.
Under the trees, sorry. We have areas that's just the shade is too dense, and the grass just can't survive. So we're going to open that up. I've got 2 huge cedars to cut down. I'm trying to find a place before I cut them down where I can have them milled, because they are 2 feet through. Will make lovely planks. So I'm working on that. The thing about Oklahoma, I really love where we're at, but I think from Pennsylvania along the Appalachian mountains all the way through Arkansas into here in this portion of the world, it is very much Southern time. And unlike Idaho and Utah, where you have the Mormon influence on timeliness and conscientiousness and everything getting done, Texas is about money. And Texas and California have a lot more in common than folks like to think. But no one's in a hurry to make money here where we're at. And that part has been really, really wild for me. I call all kinds of folks, HVAC companies, different things. Tell them where I'm at. Make sure they know I'm local. And it's wild how many places just don't call you back here, much less pick up the phone. So that's a pet peeve. But on the flip side, there's a ton of opportunity for folks who will just return phone calls. But if you know anyone that's looking to mill, and I'm probably going to have there's a couple of mobile mills, the little, Mill Miser, Wood Miser, I think is the brand. There's a whole bunch of them, the little portable sawmills. It will come out. It's $150 an hour. It's $100 to come out, or $150. And as much as you have, they will just keep sawing the entire time, and you stack. So we have enough wood on our place and on the neighbors, because to have some of that oak to build with, and then there's a ton of locusts on a place I need to get cleared. I've been talking about it for a year now. So anyways, so there's that. Those 2 trees, we put up 5 cords of wood, and by we, I mean this guy. He's got 2 thumbs right here. So Kyle and I were lucky enough to find another splitter on...
Wasn't that Tractor Supply?
It was Tractor Supply on 50% off because it didn't come with fluids in it. So now we have 2 splitters. I have a really great jig. There's a steel jig for sharpening the chainsaws. I've got a Husqvarna 24-inch bar, and then a Echo 18-inch bar for limbing and whatnot. I have a system down. I put a ton of wood away. We have wood for the next 2 winters plus this year put away right now, and I've had all kinds of neighbors come, and if I could do it all, I'd have 100 quarts. So only good for the termites. Let's see. Andrea, you
Yes.
joined the volunteer, if I could speak, the volunteer fire department.
I did.
What are you doing there? You fighting fires?
No, I'm not. I am the rehab person, which is
Does that mean I drink too much, or is it the booze or the drugs?
you're like lightweight, so no. But my job, especially in the summer when it's real hot, is to load up the vehicle with Sam, throw in a cooler full of like Gatorades, water, snacks, head out to wherever I'm tasked to go, and then hand out the supplies so that the guys and girls don't get heat exhaustion or heat stroke. And
Kyle, we're looking at you.
I haven't actually done that yet.
So
But-
so for me knocking on some businesses here, I can't say enough good things about Love County, Oklahoma, and their emergency management folks. This place, for having basically no budget, there are no full-time paid firefighters that I know of for the county. I know the Windstar has full-time firefighters, but that's a whole different thing. This place is, we're dying for volunteers, and it's really hard to get new young folks, and I understand, all the time commitment to it. But as far as communication, knowing what's going on, getting to a fire, the training for the budget they have, and this is coming from somebody that the Guard has limited budget compared to active duty, and the Guard does a really, really fantastic job. This county is amazing. So the folks that are running that, I can't say enough good things about them. And they're guys that this is their main focus, and especially the retirees. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, if I live to get to retirement, I wouldn't be that guy and put a bunch of time into it. But I can't say enough good things about the communication and just the systems and process. So if we get dispatched out of our little fire department here to a fire and they're worried about any kind of heat, comes to her. Everything's already pre-staged. The county, there are donations or businesses that pay for some of this. Some of it the county pays for, and some of it is grant money. But it's sitting there. It goes out. We have inventory. It really is. So on that side, the back end support, I can't say enough good things about it. And if you're in a county, if you're in a city where there's a volunteer fire department, I regret not doing that in Milford. Mm-hmm. I really do, because I was 4 miles away from. I should have been part of it there. If you have the opportunity, it's awesome. And if it's not, get rid of those folks who are making it not awesome and make it awesome. It really is. We had a potluck on the 30th of December. Mm-hmm. Just got to sit and visit. It really is a big part of the community. For you millennials, you whippersnappers, and you Zoomers, this is one of those things that costs you nothing. It's just some time. You get really, really good training, and you get camaraderie. You get to be known in your community. So if you have a volunteer fire department where you're at, do it. What else do we have here? I rearranged. So our cellar, we had, how many warnings did we have last year? 1 or 2? 2. Okay. All of our friends from Idaho think that there is a tornado every 5 minutes in the South, and that everyone lives in a single wide trailer up on bricks, and everyone dies every other year in a tornado. It's not like that. I have been blown away, and this is from the time I got here till now. They will preempt the Cowboys game if there's a tornado. They will put the little Dallas Cowboys. There'll be a little tiny screen down here, and everything else will just be where the weather action is and where it's moving and how much time you have. Honestly, most of the time we have an hour plus, knowing it's coming. Let's get ready. So what I've done, and that's just been the last couple of weeks while I was off. That was one of the projects I knocked out because as we moved in, we just kind of threw stuff here and there. So I went down there and got organized. We're going to Mylar seal all of our food storage is down there. Get that squared away and open up the space. We have a huge cellar. That's, again, the dog. It's not Andrea. I put in some new shelving. I'm going to buy 2 more shelves, and we'll be able to get everything up high and open up that space. So now Samuel can run around down there. We can have a place to sit, play cards, whatever. Probably we'll get a table down there at some point where we can play cards and Andrea can smoke. Cribbage has not been, this last 3 months has been brutal. She's just been beating me like a drum. So we got that knocked out. We still have a ways to go there. I have added a couple of multi-fuel lamps to they're hurricane lamps. If you don't have one of these and you live anywhere where there's weather, you need to get one. They're $10, whether it's from Amazon or from Walmart. They carry them in the camping section of Walmart. They're super simple, light. It's cheap to. They're $10. They're from Stansport, I believe, is the manufacturer. Awesome, getting them. I love them. We've got 4 total lamps downstairs in that space. Because if the power does go out, I want to be able to see where she can kick my trash in cribbage. Speaking of getting my trash kicked, so my wife and I are degenerate gamblers during 2 times of the year, and that's college football bowl season and the Final Four. And I've had a good run. But this year, I spent time. I went and saw what the books were saying on who were the favorites. How many you're up by? 5, 7,
6.
Oh, yeah. So it's been over for a while. It's just been crying. But so that's been a ton of fun. Watching the bowl games. The NIL has killed college athletics. I don't think that folks realize. I think you're going to see a lot of folks stop watching just because you don't know where any of the players are. No one's committed. Why should you be committed? So it's hopefully they can get this figured out and get some stability, because that's the worst part about kids leaving and going. And get paid, young kids. Get paid. I have no problem with that.
But you shouldn't be able to transfer before your team plays their bowl game.
Right. It really, I more than you, because I lost. So now
it doesn't have anything to do with.
It does. It's all about me. Let's see. So in the 10 months since we talked, I bought all the components for outdoor kitchen. So now I have
a sink.
We've got the Blackstone griddle, big grill space. We've got the 2-position propane stove. Uh-oh. Hold on. The coyote dog is wreaking havoc. She won't stop walking underneath. We've got a smoker, barbecue. So we have everything, all the components now put together. So I've got to get that built, hopefully between now and June. We have an outhouse plan that we both really like. That hopefully we'll get, and by we, of course, that's this guy. And then an outdoor shower. Mm-hmm. So I got to take a whole bunch of outdoor showers at work this year because we didn't have water in our building for 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And then we didn't have hot water for another. Oh, look, it's the coyote dog. The coyote dog's like, hey, I want to be on this. I want to get in your lap. Okay, yeah, get down. So, and it was just a solar-powered shower. The thing's money. So we're going to build something similar, just a little bit bigger, that we can use here every day. And it's one of those things, we're in the summer here when it's super hot, to be able to wash outside, take a shower, and then come inside where you're not all gross, especially when you do get gross. It's more the poop things, the accidents that way when gross. But, and I'm a sweater. Andrea will attest to this. I will sweat through a t-shirt in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I will get through all my pants in another 30 minutes after that, and I'll just be covered head to toe in sweat. So it's one of those things there. I'm not a stinky sweater, though. Give me that. Okay.
You're not a stinky sweater.
That's good. 35 minutes in, we're talking about that. Um, the great Mahindra ti wheel fiasco of 2023. So at some point, my it would be the driver's side wheel, front wheel on my Mahindra 4540 tractor. The lug nuts started to come loose. And by the time I realized they were coming loose, they had worn down the threads. And I started tightening them, and it just kept going. And it got worse and worse. And it ended up cracking the rim
The sound was awful.
of the tire.
Yes.
So it has been a learning process. And on this side, I will tell anyone who's listening, the number one thing to think about when you're buying a tractor is who is the nearest dealer, and are they going to be in business in 5 years? So moving forward, I will probably only buy either a Kubota, a John Deere, and maybe Massey Ferguson as a distant third, just because Massey, they're so they're such a big part of the English industrial scene that I can't imagine them going bankrupt. But everybody else, I don't know. And this Mahindra tractor, it's been fine, but this is one of those things that it has 275 hours on it. And when I called to see if what Mahindra would do, the dealer's like, "Well, you bought that tractor in Texas. You're gonna have to take it back to the dealership you bought it from." Well, that's 4 hours away.
And it's out of business.
Yeah, they went out of business, and a ton of the Mahindra dealerships that were around 5 years ago are gone. There are two within an hour of us now. So, and he was the parts manager, service manager, and they've got other lines. New Holland. So New Holland's one to look at if you have them close because their relationship with Ford. But yeah, I would never recommend a Mahindra tractor to anybody just because, and he was super super nice about it. So I guess Mahindra USA, if you don't bring your tractor in at 50 hours to have the lug nuts tightened by a professional, they won't cover anything to do with the wheels. This is a known issue, and he said that the service manager is trying to tell everyone every 10 hours check your lug nuts. That's nuts. Who has time for that? It's just one of those things. So talked with him about getting it fixed, and he said best guess, without having it in there, describing it, sending some pictures, would be around $3,000 because they wouldn't do what I did. They were going to replace the entire assembly, and you have parts and labor and all that stuff because none of it was covered by warranty. So I just talked to Andrew's dad, again, back to him being, I'm so blessed to have him and all his wisdom and knowledge. But he explained everything to me what I needed to do. Sadly, I couldn't get any of the parts here for him to do it. So I had to do it and it's always intimidating. I'm this way with every project. The first time I haven't done something, I just overthink it, and I wait.
Puts it off, and he
puts it off, and I read and I watch videos and I get to forums, and then I go do it. I'm like, oh, this was easy. It took me 3 hours start to finish once I started it. So my biggest thing is once I start a project, I always finish them. I think you'll give me that.
Yes.
But I will put off starting something for years. I have these solar panels I bought in 2020 just sitting out here mocking me. But so I went up. So if you ever have to do this, if you've never tapped, or dyeing is a dye is on the outside, a tap is on the inside. So the tap set that her dad recommended, found off Amazon, the drill took out all the prior threads, left me nice smooth metal. And then there is a tap lubricant. And on Amazon, if you just put that in, you'll see what comes up. But it's a hard paste. That made all the difference in the world. And that was her dad telling me you have to have that lubricant. And for the drill, I was just spraying penetrating, it wasn't JB Weld, PB Blaster on there to keep that lubricated, keep it soft. Or I'm sorry, cool, where you don't lose the temper in your drill. But that paste, and it's a quarter turn, half turn, and it gets really hard. You come back, click. You get to a point where there's too much of the filings in there because it was almost an inch deep. and then you have to work all the way back out, scrape that stuff out, put the more paste on, go back in. Nothing to it. So on that side, don't be intimidated if you have to tap or dye anything. Tons of great videos out there. I don't know what I would do without all these forums. And I worry about all these forums that folks have built going away because hopefully they're still being funded. And I don't know how they do it. But what else do you have? I've run out of list here. That was it.
Went to and then getting.
Yeah.
Who knows what those were?
Well, the went to was Nicole Sauce,
wait.
but we talked to that. What else?
We did a whole podcast about that.
Yeah.
Next weekend we are starting, thanks to Haggai Harry, inspiration from him at Nicole's workshop. And Nicole would be Nicole Sauce of Living Free in Tennessee.
The hot sauce.
Yes.
If you don't follow her, she's just a wonderful, down-to-earth person. And I think she's very, very pragmatic about not presenting her best face. She will show you her failures. And I appreciate that very, very much about folks, that they don't just show you all the successes, how everything's always perfect.
But anyways, he was there and he talked about how one way he built his community was that he had farm workshops where he would teach a skill. So we took his idea and
straight stole it, Harry. Straight stole it.
We are applying that on our farm. So next weekend we're hosting a seed starting class from 9 to noon, and we'll serve lunch, and our students will leave with a Google Drive QR code link and a 6-pack of seeds.
12-pack.
Oh, a 12-pack.
2
of
6-packs.
seeds.
Yeah, so
12
12 seeds. I ordered everything, depending on how many people show up. So we're excited about that. We have a class schedule for the next year. We published the first 3 months what we're going to do.
On our website.
We have a website because we're fancy. So, but I'm excited about it because I think this month and next month are definitely in my wheelhouse because I've been doing the seed starting for a long time. And then in February, we're going to go do pruning, which is another one of those things that the first couple times you prune your precious fruit trees before the goats wreck them.
Prune them.
Yeah. You're really nervous about it. And I've been doing it long enough because I started pruning in Idaho. So I was pruning those trees because I planted those before we got together. So I've been pruning since way back.
A long time because he's real old.
Yeah, I know. It feels like we've been married for 50 years. But yeah, so and then what's the third? I don't even remember what March is.
Chickens.
It is chickens. So those 3 things we've done a ton of, and then as we'll move forward with things from there. But I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wait. On the same lines of chickens, we have 2 baby quail in an aquarium.
And on top of this aquarium
is a fat cat.
is a huge cat just torturing these poor quail like, I'm going to eat you. I am going to end you. And she did kill one of them already.
Yes.
So just one. One died on its own. But so that's another thing we've added. We didn't even talk about that. So we are figuring out the quail right now. We have, how many quail are out there? A dozen?
14.
So we watched some neighbors, fellow homesteaders up the road. We watched their place for, was it a week?
Yeah.
And they gave us, I think they just got bored with the quail or didn't like them. And
I've wanted quail.
Yeah.
And you said something about you got to make more money before you can get the quail. And I was like, yes, I got the quail.
For free. Yeah. So, yeah, we got the little apiary and everything. I want to put that out in the barn. We don't have it in the best location right now, so we'll get that fixed. But if and we talked about this, we found a new place to go to church. Very happy with where we're going to church. And we were talking with some folks there. If you're in town and you're looking to produce a bunch of protein and you don't have a bunch of space, the quail you can raise inside.
They're supposed to be quiet.
Yeah, lies. These are what kind of Courtney?
Caturnix.
Caturnix. It sounds like a cat being torn up in a food processor when they squawk.
It's not really that
It is.
bad.
The first time I heard them, I was turned on the Sequoia, and I'm like, "Oh God, I killed the cat!" I was inside with the window shut. That's what these things sound like when they squawk. I don't know if Bob White are quieter, or if the Texas A&M white quail are quieter. I don't know, but it's very disturbing, haunting. But we successfully hatched.
Two out of like
We
eight.
had four.
Oh yeah, we had four
four.
and two died.
Yeah. So we're gonna get that down. We've added artificial light, and they started laying more in the middle of the winter.
Not yet.
They haven't.
No.
Well, we turned
They
on the
don't-
light, and
They'd only laid one egg. I think they have to build it up
okay.
like they did last time.
Okay. So, but that's one of the things we're working on this year. We added that. We'll have to learn how to process them, and then see if we even like the taste.
I have the loppers.
Have
I've eaten quail.
eggs or quail
Quail.
that you've shot
My dad.
and murdered.
Yeah, my dad would shoot them, but they always had like the buckshot in it.
It wasn't
You'd have
buckshot,
to-
but it's
Whatever.
lead shot. But yeah, so we're excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
The rabbitry still
It's
it's
still there.
chugging along.
It's heavy on the buck, so
Yeah.
I have to cull.
That means murder,
Mm.
in case you're playing along at home. One of the projects I have is
Oh
welding
wait,
up.
I have a fun story that has
Speaking
to
of
actually
murder.
do with the rabbits. Our younger daughter, who is not our youngest kid, she works at a coffee joint in the nearest town next door, and she noticed that a customer had some rabbits in the passenger car. There were two people. One was driving. Obviously, the passenger had these rabbits. And she's like, well, I wanted to try to get a good ship. So I said, oh, I see you have rabbits. And the girl looked at her and said, yeah, we are rabbit breeders. And we would like to sell you one if you're interested. And she goes, no, I actually live on a farm. We already have our own rabbits. And the girl looked at her and said, oh, we wouldn't sell it to you anyways because we're vegans.
Oh, speaking of, yeah, we murder them. Yeah, it's great. Goodness. The rabbit right now, it's infrastructure, right?
Yes.
We've got to improve.
Stacking cages.
Yes. And then catching all the poop. There's a couple things there. So that's a big one. The fencing for the goats is big. Getting ready for the next kidding season. We got a new buck, right?
Oh, yeah. Samson.
Yeah. I traded 3 cows for it, and all I got back was a buck. No, I traded. So I traded labor with this young local kid, and he got hurt, and he's had a half dozen surgeries. He's a good kid.
Well, he has a surgery next Friday.
But he's been busted up. He did help me side the house in the
Yes,
shop.
he did.
Get all that done. And he's a super good kid. Love him to death. But he still owed me some time, and he was worried about it. I'd forgotten about it. I'm like, I got that siding done. That's what I really needed. And he called me. He's like, hey, I'm so sorry. And he's like, what can I do? And how much do I need to pay? I'm like, just give me a buck to breed our does.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just looking for a rental, just, pimp out a buck for us. And he went and found this buck.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be having more goats. Anyone that needs goat milk, goat soap, goat lotion, you haven't made cheese yet.
I haven't. Well, I actually tried to make mozzarella, and it was an epic fail.
I don't know that there's enough fat in the goat milk to make mozzarella. I think that's why there's not much mozzarella goat cheese. I think there's all the other things.
I just tried it because
Yeah.
that's what I had. I bought a kit, and the kit didn't work, or I did it horribly wrong.
Yeah. Well, everything's a learning experience, right? Either you win or you learn.
But we did purchase the homesteading packet or something that Paul Wheaton had, and goat cheese
It was in there.
in there.
floor.
So I'm going to
Floor.
hopefully use that because I have a lot of goat milk.
A ton. We have an entire freezer full.
But that's for the soap and the lotion.
That's what they tell you. That's how they rope you in. What else have we done? Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Well, no, because we have to save some topics for next week.
Yeah, this is one of our longest episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So every 2 months we'll give you 50 minutes of content. That's how we roll. So, our Dodge truck, been having some issues with that. The 1-ton dually. I am in a very small club of men who own both a 1-ton Dodge dually with a Cummins and a Prius. It's a very small club. I think I've got that figured out. And again, thank God for the forums and YouTube and how to get all that stuff done. And then I think we're going to replace a car this year. Mm-hmm. We're selling a car. Hopefully some folks will come by tomorrow and look at this car. What else have in the docket?
Well, just learning about the bees, doing these classes.
We're allegedly approved for another hoop house through a USDA grant. We've been talking about building a bigger basically a parking barn to where we can park equipment. And we need a bigger space for hay, for the square bales to keep them out of the rain, keep them dry. So I'm going to look at financing some of that through a USDA loan on the farm because we're making enough income that we can justify things that way and show them. Anything else you've got planned for this year? Are we going to Tennessee to hang out with Nicole this year?
I don't know.
We need to start saving leave if we are. I have 3 big projects, and that is clearing land where I can graze cows and redoing fence, getting the solar panels up, and the outdoor kitchen. So, and that makes the outdoor shower and the outdoor outhouse sort of lower level. But I think those are 2 weekend projects each. Mm-hmm. It's pretty straightforward there. There's not anything cosmic. Best purchase. So, getting ready for winter. If you're already in the winter up north, you should move to the south. But if you're a Yankee, don't come. Anyways, I picked up the other day, and I'm super happy about it, a DeWalt propane piece of kit. So it's the tubular blower that you're used to seeing on job sites and whatnot. Cool thing about this, you can plug it in, and that will run the blower, or you can use your Mahindra batteries. So it's pretty easy on fuel, and this is for smaller spaces.
Isn't it DeWalt batteries?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said Mahindra.
F that Mahindra tractor. It's still in my mind. I'm so angry about it. DeWalt batteries. I am tired. It's been a long day. So we're in the DeWalt because her dad had DeWalt tools when we started dating. I'm like, well, I didn't own any real tools. And then I'm like, I'm going to buy DeWalt too because he knows what he's doing. They're awesome. But the 5 amp hour batteries that I have will last 13 hours in this. So for us, the few days it is super cold, when we get ice storms in the south. Look at Andrew. She's just thinking about it. She shivered. It's 86 degrees in here.
It is not. It might be 86 out there, but it's not 86 in here.
When we do get ice storms here, that is the one thing where you have trees falling into power lines and you may be 2-3 days without power. That and tornadoes. Normally with the tornadoes, it's warm enough where you're not going to have to worry about this. But for us, if we have a power loss, now I know that we're going to be able to either heat the shop to keep the well from freezing, which even if there's no power, we still can't allow that to happen, or 2, keep us from freezing. And the third thing is just the convenience of me being able to go out there when it's 40 degrees in the shop and turn that on and get it up to 55, 60. That's all I need to be for me to work out there and piddle around in the shop. So I've been super, super stoked with that. It was $209, I think is what it was. On Amazon, that thing's listed for $240. We're lucky enough to have J&I Industries, which is Disneyland for men. Oh, I just want to grunt and like pound my chest. That place is awesome. Between us and Medill, Oklahoma. Love it. Can't say enough good things. You could rebuild the entire world from what's in that place. So love that. Anything else you've got?
Not really.
She's like, an hour, Russell. We've been talking for an hour. I could go on forever, except I'm about to pass out. Anyways, thanks for listening. We'll be back.
And remember, every day is an opportunity
to learn something new. Thanks and we'll be back. We're going to try and start this on a weekly basis again.
Yes.
See you.